Hi everyone, this is me. It's 4:28 in the morning. I am recording this from my bedroom. My door is closed, my window is closed, but the morning call to prayer has gone off. It actually started 4:15 like it does every single morning here. Then there's a pause for a few minutes, and then the singing these additional prayers started and goes on for about 15 minutes every single morning. I'm talking in my normal voice right now, my normal indoor voice, and I wanted to give you all a sense of the relative volume of the noise coming out of mushollah. It's quite loud. It's very difficult to sleep through that if you haven't grown up here. I think the people here don't have much of a problem ignoring it, but for me it's impossible. Also, I don't think it could be any louder because it's directly across the street, and the only thing between me and that sound is about 12 feet and a sheet of glass from my window. So, but it is very interesting that that you hear it for 30 seconds and then it says a lot, which shows one facet of the differences between Indonesian culture and American culture, ideas of privacy and ideas of and also sound. It's one thing that's quite interesting. The sounds here are very different, and I'll go into that in a minute. But first, you can listen. He's not the best singer. So for those of you who made it through the first segment of this video, I salute you. I know it was probably pretty difficult, maybe a little bit annoying, especially if you had to turn up the volume to hear it, to hear me speaking. But if that's what I have to deal with multiple times per day, every day, I don't feel bad about making you listen to it for a couple minutes. You can handle it. Yeah, that is the morning call to prayer. In fact, the call to prayer is divided. There's the actual call to prayer, which itself is only a couple minutes long, and then a lot of the mushallahs or mosques have additional prayers that they also broadcast through the loudspeakers. And that's what happens at the mushollah that's across the street from my house. And I exaggerated the proximity. It's not 12 feet away. It's maybe like 25 feet away. But it's still very close, and there is only a little window here. There's not really any way to block out that sound in the morning. But anyway, being in Indonesia has led me to think about and consider the American concept of sound privacy, which is real, and it definitely exists. Americans have, an idea that you should not intrude on others. You should respect everyone's privacy, and one of the ways in which you should do that is by not blasting them with sound that they don't want. So, for example, you can't have a party and have the music playing really too loudly, or else the cops are going to show up and tell you to turn it down. Likewise, you can't be forcing people to hear things that they don't really want to hear, because you got to complain, you're disturbing the peace, you're doing something wrong, and there is a concept that you should protect people's space, personal space, and that includes the sounds that are around us all. But in Indonesia, there is no such idea, and it's very fascinating to see how people who are born here and raised here just they don't find it intrusive. They don't even seem to register it as disturbing at all. Whereas it's, as an American, it's very difficult to tune it out. Every morning I can't. It wakes me up and I can't go back to sleep while it's on. Usually I just put my headphones on and start listening to music so that it's at least tolerable. Because let's be honest, they can't all be good singers. When there's a good singer, the adzan is really beautiful. It's very nice and I enjoy listening to it, but there's dozens of mushallahs per village, and you can't have each one can't possibly have a very talented singer. So it's not always nice. Anyway, getting off topic here. So they don't even seem to find it disturbing at all, which is very different. I'm the only one who ever seems to notice that it's started. I'm the only one that would ever comment on it in my house, and it's definitely, there's a lot of evidence around like how it doesn't even sound, loud noises, the general noisiness of Indonesia doesn't faze anyone who's from here. For example, the other day I was coming home from school and I walked in the door, set my things down, and just kind of took stock of the situation, and it was, it's very different. In the sitting room, which is when you enter the house, there's the sitting room there. There was my host father, and he was doing his prayers. He often does prayers at home, and if he does, then it lasts about 30 to 45 minutes and involves a lot of singing, chanting, praying, and it's out loud, so he's doing it right there. Then in the living room, there's a couple people watching TV, and the volume's actually kind of high. It would be disturbing to me if I were doing prayers, but they're doing that. Then in the kitchen, mom's cooking, and so there's the sounds of something frying and water boiling and just a general rummaging through the kitchen. Right outside the door, which is open, there's a group of maybe half a dozen to 10 kids playing and sometimes coordinating. They're screaming, little kids, running around in their flip-flops, plop, 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 plop. Outside the house, there's the mushollah, where probably another group of people are gathered, and they're doing their own chants, so there's that noise going on in the background. And then, all around us, we're surrounded by chickens and roosters, goats, and sometimes cows, and they're making their animal noises, and all these sounds are blending together at once, and not a soul seems to be disturbed by it. No one feels like they're being intruded upon. No one complains that they don't get any privacy. It just doesn't occur to them. Whereas, if it were me or any other average American, we were saying our prayers, or we were watching TV or whatever, the interference would just drive us insane. But here they don't register it. It's not just at home that you get a sense of how loud the country is. Definitely on the streets it's very loud, because a lot of people drive motorcycles, and a lot of people who drive cars drive older cars. The engines are loud, the mufflers are somehow loud. About 75% of the cars on the road, or the vehicles on the road, are motorcycles. And people are not at all afraid to use the horn. In fact, using the horn is just a normal, regular part of driving, because driving here is crazy. You just use the horn to let someone know where you are. And if I can, at some point I'm gonna get a video camera out there on the road and I'll show you guys what it looks like, because it's awesome. It's just very loud. There's also around, staying on the topic of sound, around 6 o'clock, about 6 o'clock, 5:30 maybe, every evening. It's really when a lot of different calls to prayer are going on throughout the entire valley here. We're up on a hill, and you just get sounds from all the mushallahs and mosques blending together at this one part of the day, and it's simultaneously one of the eeriest things you can imagine, and just strangely beautiful, but also really eerie. And I don't know how, can't imagine describing it otherwise. Sometimes I sit there in my room and I hear it, and I try to imagine hearing something like that in the US. It feels like you're in a movie. It feels like there's a soundtrack going on to the whole world. If I get the chance, I will try to record that for you guys too, with some decent audio equipment, and maybe you'll get a sense of what it's like. But it's something I never really would have imagined before getting here. On an unrelated note, but obvious, I got a new shirt today, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it's really nice. Everything here is super cheap, so you can get some really awesome clothing and for really what would be dirt cheap in the US. And there's things that people wear here that are normal that you just would never, that would be so wild in the US. Like my batik shirt, and this is not batik, this is a different material, but batik is a specifically Indonesian thing, and you could never catch me dead in it in the US, or you couldn't have before, but here everybody's like, hey man, that looks really good, and you know what, it does look really good, so it's pretty fun. I can't wait till, well, no, I can wait, but it'll be interesting once my service is over and come back to the States or do whatever I'm doing and like have a wardrobe of Indonesian clothing, and it'll just look like a weirdo in the US. But I look forward to that day. It's gonna be a lot of laughs. I think that about does it for this video log. I thank you for watching. I will continue to rack my brain for things that you might find interesting. I'm certainly having a lot of fun making these videos. I hope you're having some fun watching them. I'm gonna keep trying to get this to be professional. I might even put background music to this whole thing. So if you hear background music in this video, then it means I succeeded. If you don't, well, it's obviously I didn't succeed, but maybe next time. So thanks a lot. I hope you're all doing well. Take care.